So with that, it's right at, well, it's 4 after. I wanted to give 5 minutes. Okay, my clock just turned to 5. All right. Let's see, and it looks like we've got a couple of folks from Gardens and Orchards that are going to talk a little bit about their site. We're so grateful that everyone is here today. We've talked about the assistance and kind of how we're going to go through this. I am going to, so I won't be able to see everybody, but let me introduce the team. Most of you are pretty familiar with Kansas City Community Gardens. I think you know that we have many programs at the Kansas City Community Gardens, only 2 of which are represented in today's workshop. Actually 3, because Shay is joining us. Today we have the Community Partner Gardens team, Anna and Amanda. Yeah, you guys might just unmute and say hello so everyone kind of gets a connection there.
Hello, I'm Anna, CPG director.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm the Community Partner Gardens coordinator. If you guys are having any issues, I see that got sent to everyone. Well, I'm working in the background on getting some of these file folders fixed. So please feel free to send me a direct message. If I accidentally send it to everyone, know that that's what's happening.
Yeah, it can go to everyone, or you can, per those instructions in the chat, and then the click arrow down, you can put Amanda's name in and send her just a little message. And then on the Giving Grove team here, I'm part of the Giving Grove team. We have 3 other people that are part of the team, we focus in kind of different areas. Of course, Melinda's helped pull this program together. Melinda, why don't you do Melinda, Carter, and Matt, if you just say hello and a quick introduction.
Hi, I'm Melinda. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator. I'm the newest member to the Giving Grove team here at Kansas City Community Gardens. Nice to meet everybody.
Carter.
Hi, I'm Carter. I'm the sort of program associate. I kind of work with both Matt and Melinda.
Thanks. And Matt, are you still on? He had joined. Okay, and Matt Bunch, of course, you all have met Matt. If you have an orchard, he's our horticulturist. Between Matt and Carter, they've probably been out to your site to do a site visit. But I indicated, I want to just take 2 seconds here to say we are 2 programs. We have other programs, and these are always opportunities to learn just a little bit more about growing really healthy food and ways to get other people excited about growing healthy food. We have a couple of programs I'd be remiss if I just didn't introduce. We have at the Kansas City Community Gardens, if you've never been, you really need to get to Kansas City Community Gardens this summer. We have what's called a beanstalk garden. We have thousands of children that show up in school buses to be able to walk through a really amazing, wonderful little garden area that has different destinations for touching vegetables and flowers, for smelling, for a fruit area, demonstration orchard, and for veggies. It is just an amazing experience. So if you know individuals or connections to schools, it's a wonderful opportunity. I'd also be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about our schoolyard garden program. We have a program just like CPG and just like Giving Grove that is dedicated to supporting schools launch this notion of teaching little people how to grow food and taste it for the first time after they've grown it. It's a really amazing experience. Our community partner garden is approaching 300 gardens in the city. Our schoolyard garden program has over 200, and we have 220 little orchards. So that's the end of my little advertising. By the way, we also have a home garden coordinator, Shay Bergman, who is also on the line here today. So lots of different programs, lots of ways to get involved. So what are we going to do today, friends? I'll be curious to hear from you why you decided to join today. Here's what we hope we will accomplish. We think that, this notion of engaging the community around your garden or orchard is something that you all care deeply about. So what we're going to do is offer up some tips. We're going to give you the opportunity to listen to a few people that have been doing that already. Our oldest orchard steward, not the oldest person, the person that's been the oldest site in Wyandotte County is joining us, and we can listen to Paul here in a second. But we've offered up this template as a tool for you to perhaps help you engage and mobilize people around your garden and your orchard. That's what we hope to do. And we're going to talk about a technique in doing that, where you inventory, you think thoughtfully about the various assets and strengths around your garden and orchard, and a way to categorize those and keep track of them and use them to your advantage. We hope it might get you more comfortable in how to do this. And we've got some other tools at the very end, tons of tools to help you through this process. We hope you get a couple of takeaways. I will tell you this though, this is all about what community engagement means to you, not necessarily me, Rob. And I would love if someone would be the brave soul, maybe one or two people, take your mute button off. And if you would introduce, what does it mean to you? Community engagement comes in a lot of different forms. Oftentimes it's just connecting groups, building relationships. But I'd be curious to hear from someone about what community engagement means to you, and maybe a little bit about why you joined this session today. Would somebody care to share?
I'll share. Oh, I'm off mute anyway. Hey.
Perfect.
I'm Daniel Robinson from the Cultivate KC Giving Grove at Westport Commons. And I think I'm always interested in engaging the community. And I think that we have a really great community around us in Westport, but we are reaching beyond it to get our volunteers and people. So I want to just go right next door to the community and get them involved in the orchard.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for joining here today. Anybody else care to share what community engagement means to them and kind of what you hope to get out of the session today?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ashley Williamson. I am the steward of the Fisher Park Orchard over in KCK. I think for me, it means education and awareness, because I think there's a lot of folks that are around the orchard that may not know when to harvest or what certain fruits are. So I think for me, this next year, it's kind of just education and awareness and letting people know that this is a resource that they can use.
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks for joining and thanks for sharing. Yeah, Terry.
Yeah, anyway, so I think our orchard's about 4 or 5 years old. So it's just really starting to produce some stuff, except for the frost we had this last year.
Yeah.
But I felt like we got off to a really good start. And then the pandemic hit and I was hesitant to do things with people. And I know people are engaged with the orchard because I see fruit disappearing, but I don't know. It's which is great, but I see it disappearing before it's ripe. And I want to somehow learn to engage with people so they know when to pick stuff and yeah. So we just get and just know who's there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little harder. I mean, people don't necessarily want to come out of their house amidst all this COVID. So it does create a little bit of a challenge here. So to the degree that we all have ideas, it'd be great to share. Look, Paul has joined here a few years back. We actually captured Paul in a video here. I'd kind of like to share, listen to Paul, and then after the video, Paul, I'd love to give you a chance to just share a little bit more about what you've been doing to engage the community, what's working over the course. As I said, Paul agreed to plant his trees in 2013, spring of 2013, very first season of planting for the Giving Grove. So those trees have been in the ground a long time. Let's, if you would, hopefully you'll all be able to hear
right
this.
Now is basically the trees are going into dormancy. Right now, all we're doing is trying to protect the trees from the cold and the four-legged critters that might come in there. We were planning on planting flowers in the park and just maintaining it as a nice clean spot for the neighborhood. But when Giving Grove came in and offered their services as well as their assistance in putting the grove in, it's transformed a piece of property into a destination point for the community. I think it starts with the people, the neighbors, the citizens. We're the second most diverse county in the United States.
I think Paul and we all grew up very similar lives, even though we come from different ethnic backgrounds. That's what that park is. It's a community place that people can come, and it's not their yard or somebody else's yard. It's a neutral ground where everybody can have a piece of ownership of it.
We're all different. That's what makes a community good, is the diversity and getting to know everybody. When we were putting the trees in, some of the kids got off the school bus, and as we were planting the trees, we told them what we were doing. They actually dropped their backpack and helped us plant the trees. It's filled its need for the food desert that we're in. The foot traffic goes through, some of it homeless, some of it not, and they're able to stop and pick the fruit and have some fruit on the way by. The neighborhood actually harvests quite a bit of fruit themselves.
Neighbors come over and become a part of it, and they've learned, and we start to see that transcend into their own yards. That training that Giving Grove has given us as a core group, we're starting to see that transcend across the street into the other yards in the neighborhood.
If it doesn't give back to the community, why put it in? Without Giving Grove, none of this would have happened.
Yay, Paul, thanks for taking the time to join us here today. Thanks for doing that video. I think everyone on the line would love to hear a little bit more about what that orchard has meant to your neighborhood, and maybe any tips you might be able to offer in terms of getting the community involved.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me today. I see you use a lot of the pictures that I've got. And the very first one, if you don't mind, this is the limit of my technology. Here's my picture.
Yeah.
When we first put the orchard in, these are the kids that dropped their backpack and helped us plant the trees. We have 3 school bus stops right on the corners of our orchard. And we're fortunate to have 2 major cross streets on either side of our orchard. One of them is Central Avenue, and the other one is Grandview Boulevard. So we have a lot of traffic that goes through or next to our orchard. These kids stopped and helped and wanted to get involved, and today they're still involved, and that's the good part about it. With them taking responsibility for the orchard, we have not had one lick of vandalism in the orchard, and I think that's all because of the kids taking personal responsibility for the orchard. We have 26 trees, 2 currant bushes, 2 fig trees, 4 bush cherries, and 75 feet of blackberries. And I think it's transformed our little piece of the world into a destination spot. We have some youth that use our park for soccer. And it's amazing to watch the kids because we ask them to make sure that they respected the trees and the bushes and stuff like that. And they actually play soccer, making sure that the ball doesn't hit the trees or the bushes, and show a lot of respect for the park itself. A lot of what we do is word of mouth. When we work in the park, the people are basically going by. We get a lot of honking, a lot of activity from the neighborhood, the walking and the cars both. One of the big things that we've done is reached out to the faith-based communities in the area. We have 5 churches or organizations within a half a mile of our park. So we reached out to those. The church groups have used our park for Father's Day celebrations, Mother's Day celebrations, and just general get-togethers. One of the things that I really enjoy, of course, being on the main thoroughfares of the city, we have a lot of the city utilities that go by, BPU, the gas company, and what have you. And they love stopping, picking a pear, picking a peach, picking an apple, and going on their way to their next job. So we get a lot of community involvement that way. We do have. Well, let's back up a little bit. We have gotten a lot of the city fathers involved in the orchard themselves. And if I can use my technology here to show you one of our pictures, we've had state senators, we've had county commissioners, we have district judge. And of course, this one right up here, you'll notice right there, Mr. Giving Grove himself, Rob Ryman. And again, I say that none of this would be possible without Giving Grove. And so there's a shout out to you, Rob, and your crew. We have some families that actually make a day trip to the park. I hope that wasn't me. Are we still good?
I think you're good.
Okay. We have some families that actually make day trips to the park. And of course, I don't know if you can see this or not, but we do have some people that actually live 3 blocks away from the park, and they make a day trip with their kids to enjoy the park, pick the fruit, and wow. In the second picture that we have, they did this.
Rob, you might need to, if someone is co-host, it seems like we have some audio issues.
I'm
Do you
trying to
have
figure out
someone-
who it is.
I think that might be me because my wife just signed into the meeting and she was sitting next to me. So I think that might be here. Even though my microphone is muted, I think her phone is reacting.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep giving it a try, Reggie. Thanks for that.
The families came in when our cherries were in full bloom, and you can see in the back of these 2 young ladies, they had picked about 4 to 5 gallons of our cherries. But they brought their kids in, and as I was working in the park, the kids came in and wanted to help. So we put them on the watering detail. which was so much fun because they got more water on them than on the plants. But those kids actually come back when they get off of the school bus. They actually stop by and either help themselves to some fruit or just to chat and talk to whoever's working in the park. It's really fun and it's really exciting to see these kids from the ones that helped put the
Good
orchard.
question for you, Paul.
Shoot.
So folks have joined today to kind of get some tips on how you go about engaging the community surrounding your orchard or garden. What would you say is the number one way that you've obviously got lots of people engaged? You just shared different families, different groups that are doing daily things, businesses that are stopping by. How do you get them engaged? How do you first connect with them?
The age-old way of just talking to one another as they stop by, as we're introduced, as we talk in various neighborhood group organizations. We have 87 active neighborhood groups in Wyandotte County, and we visit with each other through livable neighborhoods or in person. So basically, it's just the idea of talking to people, sharing what we're trying to do. The fruit in the food desert that we're actually in is helping out the community, and just talking to the people and basically telling them it's theirs. It's their community, their orchard. All we do is help the trees along and let them enjoy the fruit and the outcome.
Thanks, Paul. Let me give a couple other people an opportunity to chime in here as well. We also have Terry Rouse joining us from Rainbow Community Garden and Orchard, actually. Terry, I think you have both a garden and an orchard going on there. Could you share a little bit about community engagement? How do you, tell us a little bit about your gardening and how you engage the community surrounding it?
So our orchard's really small. It's a little vacant lot. And I think this was the photo here is from the second year when the blackberries started producing. And we're near the Early Street Garden, and they had some blackberries there too. So we decided to have a blackberry picking party. And this little girl came up to me. She was so proud of how big the blackberry was she'd found. And so we got some ice cream, some bowls and spoons, and so people could have some blackberries with ice cream, and you can see the families there, especially the kids, enjoying picking that stuff. And then we had a woman who made kombucha. She had a little cart there, and she gave samples of different fruit flavored kombucha that she had made. So yeah, it was a good way and we were just getting started at that point. So it was a good way to make that connection.
So it sounds like, Terry, you created an event. In
Right.
this particular case, the event was, hey, come pick some blackberries with your community, and they showed up.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in the publicity. There's somebody, I think, from Rosedale Development Association that did that, because I didn't know hardly any of the people that showed up. So, and one of my goals this year is to start media. It's so people know about the orchard. They come pick fruit, but I'm not getting it. I think I need to pitch my tent and spend more time there, because I would like to.
Good tip for later on. We're going to go through your workshop, and it sounds like one of your goals, you just said the words came out of your mouth. One of my goals is to create greater awareness. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Thanks, Terry.
Sure.
From a gardening standpoint, Amanda, I think you're going to jump in and share a little bit about the hub.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Our hub contact was not able to make it today. But she gave me a little bit of information on how they engage their community. So the first thing that they even did before getting the garden started was sending out a survey to their neighbors and to local organizations, within their neighborhood to see what the interest was. And they got really, really great response. And so from those responses, they were able to get contacts and emails from everyone and created a Facebook group specifically for the Hub Community Garden. And with that Facebook group, they got some leaders who were really, really excited to spearhead parts of the community garden. So one of the big things that they did for their construction day was that they specifically looked at the times that their volunteers were available or that people indicated they were interested in joining. And of course, it was after work time, so they scheduled their construction for after 5:00 p.m. so that they could have a really good turnout. And then they also provided dinner for their volunteers. So they had food on site. They kind of made it as, as involved as possible. So they had a couple of different things going on where they had the children volunteering with them, and they had roles for all of their different, abilities that people had. So that's kind of what the Hub Argentine has been doing. And I actually talked to Carter Ellis, who is our primary garden coordinator over there. And it sounds like they might try to do some type of event where they'll get other local community groups within the Argentine neighborhood and have them host at the community garden to have a kind of a small neighborhood fair. So that's another option that I've seen work pretty well for people.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Amanda. Again, an event to bring people to the destination, engaging them. I love that notion of asking the community how they want to participate, how they want to get involved. That survey idea. Friends, if you've joined this call to get some tips, I'm gonna tell you, Amanda and Melinda are here to help, right? If you don't have the tools to create a survey, we're here to help. So keep thinking about as these ideas come up. If they sound great, but you're not exactly sure how to execute, we are here to help. And by the way, I wanted the food idea. Everyone loves food, right? To bring food. I'm gonna brag on Paul again. The very first, this was the very first harvest celebration. They had salads, but there weren't ordinary salads. All the salads were embellished with fruit. So there was a salad with Asian pear in it. It was really, really quite amazing. We also had hoped Turtle Hill would be on the call today. I think they might be joining on our Thursday call. So let me just share 2 cents on this event, because this is pretty creative. Kind of look at this right side. This is the orchard. This is their orchard in Turtle Hill. So what Karen French, Maida, and a couple other people did is they decided what they wanted to do to engage the community was actually to create an arts program, a summer arts program. It was hosted at the church just about right across the street. The children showed up on a weekly basis at a set time. Miss Allen here in the left picture led the arts portion of it. By the way, it was both arts and theater. So the kids actually had to write their own play and then acted it out on a beautiful evening in the orchard. It was very cool. And then Miss Allen led the arts portion of it. And the kids had to create their own idea. Her thing was, look, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do. You're going to come up with the ideas for an art project for the orchard. And this is what the kids came up with. What they wanted to do is create a chess and a checker set that would be a permanent fixture in the orchard. So, you know, they found the means to buy these little 1 by 1 foot cement squares that you can get at any hardware store, painted them up, went on the internet, bought little chess pieces, not little, as you can kind of see, these are almost life size. And you can see this day, I mean, the children were engaged. They were focused on beating one another in chess in the orchard. The fire department showed up, the police department showed up. They took baskets and were happy to provide orchard baskets and painted the baskets to distribute to the residents in the community during the event. It was very, very cool. Again, just a creative idea, something that may not be the easiest thing to think of, but a very, very special way to get the community involved, right? All right. Hopefully we're seeding some ideas here for you to come up with your own plan. That's what this program today is all about. We want you to be able to create a plan that you can execute against, you know, year in and year out. And the plan will change, but we've got a template for you to kind of walk you through the process. Some of the information at the very top is a little bit for us. We want to make sure we understand your team. We want to understand what the orchard, we want you to describe the orchard so that when you ask for help, Amanda goes, oh, Terry wants to bring greater awareness within his little community. We already know that. So when you call, we're kind of on the same page. And then what we'd like you to do as part of today's exercise is to start thinking about a couple of goals that you would like to achieve. Terry, I didn't even have to pay him to say that, right? Hey, one of my goals is to bring greater awareness. That's what we're trying to achieve. And then coming up with specific activities that you can do, like Paul, right? Word of mouth at the meetings, at the livable neighborhoods. I'm gonna go do this to try to bring greater awareness. All right, before we start, and to my colleagues that are on the call, feel free to stop me and jump in at any point in time. But oftentimes we like to think of this exercise as having the right mindset, right? And I know everyone has heard this, is your glass half empty or is your glass half full concept. It really is such a simple idea, but an important one, right? If you get into the technical lingo, right? The half empty is deficit-based thinking. Yeah, I only got half left. I need more. I need more. I'm half empty. The asset-based thinking is quite the opposite. Oof-da, I'm a half full glass. I got lots of beautiful water here, right? Just such a simple construct, but an important mindset to engage your community. I am positive that somebody has had somebody knock on your door to try to do a survey. These darn surveys, I've heard when I started getting involved in this program about 10 years ago, I heard this a lot because I didn't know very much about it. And I heard people tell me, Rob, I've had so many people come knock on my door, ask me what I need, and offer up what they thought was our solution. Right? That's all deficit-based policy. That's deficit, that's kind of the negative, right? Even the terms that we use today, you hear it a lot. Food desert, like maybe food insecurity. I don't like to use those words. I like to use the word food security, right? Food oasis. You guys are creating these food systems in your neighborhood. It's just a simple, different way of thinking. So I think as you begin to put your plan together, I would encourage you to start with the right mindset, half full. Hey, we have all kinds of positives that we need to take advantage of. Terry, you don't need to do it yourself, right? You got all kinds of assets around your garden to lean on. And that's what we're going to ask you to kind of think about as we put together a plan. And there's this simple idea that really strong, vibrant, resilient communities are places where people think about their residents. They're thoughtful about who lives in my neighborhood. They're thoughtful about valuing the strength that everybody brings. And then you lever those assets to the collective benefit. If one person owns a mower and doesn't mind mowing, it might be the asset to keep the garden area clean. If somebody else is a social butterfly in your neighborhood, they may be your communications person to get the communications out. This is all about thinking half full. What do we have? What makes us great today, right, that we can lean on, right? If there's only one thing that you get out of today's workshop, that is one important one. All right, so we didn't, Kansas City Community Gardens didn't dream up this idea. We can't take credit for it. It's an idea that has grown over the years as people have tried to think hard about transforming neighborhoods, or not in the transformation process, but taking advantage of all the strengths that we have today. It's called ABCD, Asset-Based Community Development. I'll throw the term out, but we can leave it behind us, because all it is a process to identify the strengths and going through and inventorying those. I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it is about identifying people as assets in your community. It's also about connecting to not just individuals, but groups. We're going to call those associations. And even understanding that there are institutions in your garden area or orchard area that can benefit the entire process. So with that, we're going to actually, I'm going to walk you through this tool. Now, this is the point at which if you're really comfortable with Windows and you kind of want to do two things at one time, you can. I'm not the greatest at doing that. So you kind of have to put the PowerPoint, the Zoom meeting in a window, and you would have to click on the link that either Amanda or Melinda sent to you and have that on your screen. That would be complicated for me to do. So I would have instead printed it, and as I begin to walk you through the form, I would be taking notes. The one thing I'm going to ask you to try to remember to do, however, is please, if you're just writing some ideas down on a piece of paper, promise me you'll go back to Amanda's link, click on it, and just type those ideas into the worksheet so that over the course of the next 10 years, we can support it, support your goals. Because each and every one of us come and go, right? Sometimes we tire of maybe stewarding or gardening, and we need to hand the baton to someone else. But if you've already laid an engagement plan that says, here's how we're going to keep our community engaged, then we will have that documented. You will have it documented. And when Rob Ryman leaves the organization, because we all have a time, then we've got it documented at KCCG2. So please go back, fill it out, and we'll have a copy. I am going to be super transparent here, right? This is a Google form, right? So we've offered you a link. The link is designed so that you have access to it. It's also designed by nature, since it's a Google form, that we have access to it. So whatever you put in there, we can go along with you and support you through the process. If you didn't get an email, go into the chat button, click on the chat button, and let Amanda, Carter, or Melinda know, and we'll get you your worksheet. This is the point. I'm going to start going through the actual sheet itself. Now, the beginning of this is super simple, but I still think necessary to be thoughtful about thinking through at least who your team is, right? You know it intuitively, but what happens if something happens to you, right? It's great to get this down on paper, right? Who your primary stewardship or coordinators are, who your support team, on the orchard side, we call them apprentices. It's your team. You're defining who your teams are. Put that into the form. Then we're going to ask you just a little bit more information. Again, part of this is being intentional about you starting to think more broadly about who you're serving, also as a means to help you think through what you want to accomplish. So the next part of the form is still a little bit more about who you think you are, right? How would you describe your garden? There's a whole bunch of check boxes here, and I encourage you to check as many as you think you represent. Am I a neighborhood orchard? Am I a neighborhood garden? Click that. Am I a faith-based garden? Click that. Click all of them that apply. All right, that will help us also understand kind of who you are. It will also help you kind of get your mind thinking about who we are and who we're serving. This is for our benefit only, but as I said, we'd love to know whether or not you are participating in our community garden program with Amanda and Anna, whether or not you participate with our schoolyard garden program, separate and distinct, if you've got schools, or our orchard program. And if you're only doing one of those, we'd love for you to spread your wings. All right, this next two sets of slides here, it's one section in your worksheet, is designed to get your mind to open up a little bit. So if you're trying to engage the community, I want you to begin thinking about the benefits that your garden brings to your community by asking you to tell yourself and your team, how important is this to what we're doing here? It begins to define your purpose, which will also transition into your engaging of people, right? And why you want to engage people. So real simply, I'm going to walk through, I'll just say each of these. How important is the fact that you're providing free, healthy food to your community? Is that really high? Is kind of in the middle somewhere? I think it'd be great for you to click on one of those. All right. Is your orchard instead more about building and strengthening relationships with your neighbors, connecting a neighbor to a neighbor, connecting you to a neighbor? Is it about those connections? How important is that? Click on high, medium, low, or maybe this isn't really your thing. What maybe instead, the third item is this green space. Paul talked a lot about that in his video. You heard him talk about, we've created a destination. That was his word. We've created a destination for the community to commune, come together, be together, share. How important is that to you? Is this about creating beautiful green spaces? That will be helpful in helping you define your goals for engaging the community. Number 4, safety. How important is creating a safe destination for your community? I almost cry when I hear people say, Rob, my community comes, we be together because it feels safe. It's created a place where I feel safe. My neighbors feel safe, right? How important is that in terms of part of what you want your garden orchard to represent for you and your community? Just a few more. This all might be about education, not just for children of all ages, but maybe it's for children. Like, is this really to reconnect children with nature? That might be one of your goals, right? How important is that? Maybe that's less important. 5, 6, I guess. The opportunity to create a business. Wait a minute. How does that fit, Rob? What is he talking about? Providing an opportunity for someone to create a business. Here's our thinking. We've started a dialogue with Community Capital Fund. They approached us. They've indicated an interest in entrepreneurially creating opportunities around food for people to create little small businesses. It might be dried fruit. It might be selling veggies at a market stand, which is a little bit more about Cultivate Kansas City's thing. But if you can take some of this produce, if there's excess, like we have a couple orchards that are almost 100 trees, and every fall there's excess fruit, right? Plenty of fruit for somebody to create a little business. We're exploring that. We have lots of gardens, community gardens that have come to us and said, you know what? This was all about illegal dumping. We had enough. How important is that? Because your engagement might be slightly different if this is really keeping the community clean, right? There may be other reasons I haven't listed here, giving you the opportunity to fill them in and prioritizing that. So that's a simple exercise. If you do that, what we're hoping it'll allow you to begin to actually prioritize some of these things. So now you've kind of listed what's important. Now, what we'd really like you to try to do, and you can, this is your plan, not ours. So I'm just going to offer up an idea, but do it the way you want to do it. But if you force yourself to make this 1 through 5, it really does begin to kind of force you to think through what's most important, right? I do know a lot of people say, well, this is a 1, this is a 1, and this is a 1. They're all on my highest priorities. That's okay. It's your plan. It's not mine. But think about prioritizing which is most important. Is it about getting more people to help you garden? Or is it more, right? The second one, bring greater awareness to the orchard and garden. I think I know what Terry's is, right? Try to put some priorities around that. And that's going to help you on the next step. The next step is creating, oh, wait, before I get to a goal, I'd really like you to think through this too. Who is it? If you can put pencil to paper or type in who you want the benefits to serve, who is your garden or orchard serving? Think that one through, right? That will also bring clarity to your goals. This second one may feel a little bit weird at first, geographically, like who are you serving? I think it will help you. I think this is just a simple tip to say, yeah, you know what, he's right. Where I want to focus is from 31st Street to 39th Street. You know, I'm kind of thinking of Daniel. He's on 39th Street. So maybe it's 31st Street, over to Ward Parkway, but it's, this street to this street. Or maybe you don't want to use streets. Maybe you just want to say, this is all about the community surrounding this church or this synagogue, right? Maybe that's how you define your geography. Okay, so now let's think about where we are. We've thought about what's important. We thought about the benefits that our orchard's serving. We thought about who we're serving and the area that we really want to focus on, right? Okay, that's a great start. And we've said we want to think about this from an asset, not a deficit. Not that I necessarily need more of something, but we want to take what we have and do more with it. So the next thing is a hard one, but we're going to ask you to try to think through some goals and some specific action steps. Now, This is the hardest one, but maybe the most important. So I'm going to offer up a couple ideas. Now, we heard from Paul, we heard a little bit from Terry. You heard from Amanda what other people are doing, right? And this is getting down to, the rubber meeting the road, because you got to think through, okay, right? I don't want this to just be an idea in my head. I actually want to do something. I do want to engage the community. This is where you need to be thinking about, okay, you just defined your highest goal, right? How am I going to do that? If your goal might have been, I have a wonderful team, it is half full, but I would love to get more people engaged in it to spread the joy and the fun and the community. What you might want to do is you might want to create specific signage that goes into your orchard that describes, that invites people in. Want to join in this fun? Call Paul Soptic, right? Or email Paul, right? And join in this fun, right? That's a way to recruit your team to get more done. It might be about awareness, right? And I'm going to give you a really amazing tool, just a super amazing tool at the very end that Amanda and Melinda can help you with. And so I don't want to get ahead of myself. I do want to get ahead of myself because it's such a great tool, right? So Kansas City Community Gardens has been around for how long? Anybody guessing? More than 10, more than 20, more than 30 years. We've been partnering with gardeners around our city. We have a database full of people who love the garden, right? I'm going to show you an example of how Amanda can get you connected. Now, we can't share those names and email addresses, but if one of you come to us and say, wow, it would be fun to do an email blast to tell everyone that we've got this new community garden and you're invited to join, that'd be fun. Or we're going to have a celebration, a party, and we'd love for you to join. Think of the audience that you're hitting. You're hitting an audience of gardeners, right? People who already love to grow food. I'm going to show you a really specific example of how we can help you do that. That would be great, Terry, to bring greater awareness, right? If you knew there were 100 people that lived within a half mile of your garden, how awesome would it be to have Amanda send an email out saying, we're having a party and you're invited. Okay, so you also might be trying to figure out the whole distribution of food. We've heard that, right? How's the best way to distribute food, right? One of the best things to do, there's probably 100 things to do. Paul talked about a couple of them, right? Going to his neighborhood meeting and talking about, hey, the cherries are ripe, right? The cherries are going to be ready next week, right? And getting a sign-in sheet and making sure you collect all the names, and then maybe an email goes out that says, remember, cherries are ripe next week. That's a great way by getting people to sign up. If you want to meet your neighbors, we've already had a couple of tips, events, picnics, parties, bringing food to share. These are all great goals, but it can't be mine. It's got to be your own. What's most important? What do you want to achieve? Maybe you have a couple of goals. Maybe one you want to try to do this year, but maybe you say, I'm going to define 3 or 4 goals that we should accomplish over the next few years. This is going to be the kind of tool that I think will be helpful. Now, this whole asset-based community development is, we super simplify this idea. It's a great idea, but it really boils down to being thoughtful about identifying and inventorying, right? Not just thinking in your head, but creating a list of the assets in 3 categories. All right, the first are individuals, right? We offer up some ideas on this slide. I'm positive you have someone who loves to be artistic, right? they need to be on your team, right? Right? If they're artistic, or they're a gardener, or they're a senior that everybody loves, if Miss Allen knows, everybody knows. Well, let's tell Miss Allen, right? So everybody knows. So those are individuals who will bring something of great value to you and your team. The second thing is associations. There are going to be clubs, groups, businesses in your community that you should take advantage of. Paul, do you mind if I share the story that you shared with me here recently about the funder and the mowers? Or maybe would you share it real quick?
Sure, I can. We were working at the orchard, and one of the neighbors came by and said he was forming a landscaping company and wanted to know if we wanted him to cut our orchard for us. He gave us a price, and I guess I can say what it was. It was $300 a cut. And of course, we told him that we're all volunteers, that this is all volunteer work. There's not too many pennies that cross hands on at this orchard. And he dropped it to $75. And of course, that's still too high for a bunch of volunteers. But in the mix, we had a young man that he's busy. He's got a couple of companies of his own. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, I can't help in the orchard, but I have a couple extra dollars, so I'll go ahead and pay to have the orchard cut. So here we have two people that are too busy to help in the orchard, but they have assets that we don't. One of them had the company, he cuts the grass. The other one had a couple extra dollars in his pocket, and he helped. He's paid for all the grass cutting last year.
That's cool, right? That's cool. That's connections. Taking advantage of two different assets in a community, right? To make something work to the benefit of all, right?
Bingo.
So you have to be thoughtful about thinking through where those are, right? Where are those individuals? Where are those companies? Where are those faith communities? Where are those social clubs? If I'm not going to the neighborhood association, there's an opportunity to get the word out. Lots of groups, but don't forget the institutions, the police, the sheriff's department, that they actually do enjoy coming out and participating in an event. The libraries are great resources to post communications. The schools are great places to post communications. Any kind of health facility in and around your area would be great places to post. I actually also happen to know, I'm pretty sure, I think, there's a bus stop right by Terry's, the corner of Terry's Orchard. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But those are great assets, right? You need to think about a bus stop as actually as an asset that you take advantage of. Okay, so back to the form. This is simple, right? Okay, yeah, I need to be thoughtful. I need to start thinking about that social butterfly, the artist that lives down the street, the musician that sits on his porch and plays guitar, right? These are all great assets that you want to try to get engaged, especially if one of your goals is just connecting people. And I will tell you that one of the things I hear more than anything is, yeah, Rob, we love this food, this free food. But what I love even more are the connections that we're building around the orchard, right? I hear that day in and day out. So start this inventorying process. I'm talking, giving you time to list, A person's name, yep, they're a guitar player. Person's name, yep, they're an artist. This person's name, yep, they're a social butterfly, right? Maybe they're a graphics artist. This is where you really need to be thoughtful about starting your inventory. This is going to be very, very helpful for you. The second thing, obviously, put those groups down. List those groups in this form. You know, but you have to be very thoughtful about it. By the way, one of the things that it just makes it virtually, it's kind of hard to do, is the form that we've provided you has a whole bunch of resources in it. One of the resources, and I'll tell you exactly where it's at here in a second, is going to be a Google map. Amanda's taken and created like a PDF, right? Just a form that you can look at. But if you get around the internet and you're comfortable with the notion of a Google map, Google is great these days, right? You can zoom in on your community garden and you can see, oh my gosh, you know, I heard Paul say this, we got 5 faith communities within a half mile. Now he knows that because he's lived there forever, but you know, it's easy to see it on a map, right? If you're in Google Maps and you're looking at your community, it actually is a great tool for you to do this process with. This is where it is, right? I'm a little nervous that if you go there now, you might lose me. But just know that if you're not familiar with the notion of a Google Sheet, that at the very bottom of a Google Sheet, and this is what's going to come up when you click on Amanda or Melinda's link, right? You'll see this sheet, and at the very, very bottom, these are called what's called tabs. So when you click on this tab, you actually see your community engagement worksheet, your plan. But if there are 2 more, like, and the next one is really important. So if you leave the program and you forgot about this, you're going to lose out on a lot of great, valuable information. You're going to want to be able to click on that link, and it is going to show you a whole bunch of things, a couple of which Amanda and Melinda have taken a lot of time to personalize for you, right? All right, that's where access to the Google Map will be. It'll just take you right there, or a PDF version that you can look at and stare at and go, oh yeah, there's a school. There are 3 schools close by. I've never talked to the principal at those schools. All right, so important. And here's what some of those assets look like. If you click on the top one, you're going to see a map of the area. The second one is a PDF. If you want to talk live to Amanda or Melinda, click on the next one and you can sign up for a personal kind of one-on-one. Let's do this together. We'd love to do it with you. We also have other tools for you that you can use, including flyers. Not everybody is a designer or has the means to create cool posters. So we've created a whole bunch of them for you. You can take a look at this toolkit and go, wow, that's really beautiful. All it has to do is have my orchard name in it and I'm done, right? Again, Amanda and Melinda are your go-to to get something like that done. Let me look at, I know, I think collectively we said I should click on this map, but I'm a little reluctant to do that. Here's an example of what you're going to see. If you've never gone to Google Maps before, this is kind of what it's like, except this is more like the PDF version where you can kind of see one glance. But if you actually clicked on the Google Map, you can begin to zoom in and you will see, you know, that there are a whole bunch of businesses on here that might be very, very relevant to supporting you financially. I will tell you that, you know, you might be surprised if you just ask, knock and ask. You know, we've got this great little community garden down the street, and we grow 100,000 pounds of food for our neighborhood that you are part of. But we sure could use a little bit of, you know, somebody to support us financially, because we need to buy fertilizer, we provide water for our gardeners, we do this and that, you know, any interest in supporting us financially. This is a great means to find out who those businesses are. You can click on them, it'll provide the internet link. It's really a great tool. I'm actually going to make a real-time decision not to do that because we only have 20 minutes left, and I want to finish the form. The institutions are also, you're going to find them all on that map. So don't skip this step because they're great places to put posters and get people excited about what you're doing. All right, remember I told you about this really super duper cool tool that Amanda and Melinda have at their fingertips. And by the way, those are the two individuals that sort of focused on supporting you through this process. Anna and Carter and Matt and I, you know, we're all involved, but I'd say your go-to people for doing these sorts of things are Amanda and Melinda. Amanda for the community gardens, Melinda for our orcharding program. So here's an example of this tool. This is a real orchard that's right on the corner of Swope and 71 Highway. Happened to be called the Asylum Orchard, right? Any guesses on how many Kansas City Community Garden members live in that area? Maybe 50, maybe 100. How about 250, right? We've been around for over 35 years. We've had a lot of people come to us say, I want somebody to teach me how to garden. So we have a lot of connections in these neighborhoods. So not in every neighborhood, right? So I probably ought to qualify it. But I picked this randomly. I didn't, you know, try to get one that had a lot of people. I just picked this randomly. And this is a lot of people that live within walking distance of an orchard, right? Keep this in the back of your mind. I hope Amanda gets at least half of you to say, yes, I want you to do this for me, or send a communication, I'm going to have a party, or can you just say we're looking for help, or can you send, you know, an awareness thing that I found in your toolkit that says, hey, we got a community garden, would you like to participate? Use us, we're here for you. All right, emails, phone numbers, and extensions. These are important. We have all these materials in PDF ready to send to you. So as soon as the session is over, you're going to get an email from one of us that says, here's all the materials. So actually, you don't have to write this down unless you want to be first to the game and get on their calendars. I know in the past we've clicked on the toolkit. Lots of things in there in terms of printable tools that you can use to your advantage. Again, all those marketing materials that you might really like. Here's an example of some, just little snippets of things that we can make available to you. There's a few other tips here that we've collected over time. Many of them are intuitive, walking the neighborhood, attending the gatherings. You've already heard that from others here today. You know, sometimes it's that quiet person that is so respected. I've heard that a lot. You know, if you want to post a sign near the garden or orchard, it isn't necessarily your yard that makes the most impact. It might be if the mayor lives 3 doors down, you know, put it in their yard. Or it might be that social butterfly that's quiet but respected. They're the one that has lived in the neighborhood for the last 50 years. everybody knows Miss Allen put the sign in her yard, right? So that's what we mean by identify those respected neighborhood leaders that get the word out. Door to door can work. Find public sources to post. Don't forget associations and institutions to post your communications. By the way, in our world today, we have lots of activists. I think earlier in one of these slides, I listed Food Not Bombs, right? A cute little organization that cares a lot about food in kind of natural way, and kind of they're activists against the military stuff, right? They get a great asset to getting words out. They're very cool group. So, and lastly, plan an event. So how can we help you? We can help you in a lot of these things. We can actually attend one of your neighborhood meetings if you, for whatever reason, are uncomfortable doing that, or we can help you prepare the materials for your neighborhood meeting. We can help you plan an event. We can support you in the process. We're not going to plan the event for you, right? But we will support you in that process. For the orchards, we have access to CNC Produce has offered us the ability to purchase fruit at wholesale pricing. So for only like 25 bucks, I can bring an entire case of pear or apple, right? And we can bring those sorts of things to you. So if your trees are really young and you've elected to participate in this community engagement workshop, but you don't have fruit yet, hey, maybe we just bring it. Don't wait until the trees start producing, because as many of you know, that takes years. And maybe you want to start engaging the community before that happens. That's a great way to do it. The promotional materials, connect your volunteers. We can bring volunteers, right? We have a person dedicated to volunteers. And so if you would like us to support you in bringing volunteer groups, we can do that. And on a volunteer day, we can support you even with tools and the materials that they need to do the work. If it's a mulch day, right, and you needed 3 wheelbarrows, well, we can help you out with that. By the way, I've got a slide here that talks about the fact that we have a lot of stuff that you can borrow too. We've been told, we just sent a survey out on the orchard side of our business to 220 orchards. And I was disappointed to learn that quite a few people didn't even know they could borrow tools from us. So I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you, you can borrow tools from us. We have them, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Now, we got just less than 15 minutes. So I want to recap key messages here, but we're going to hang on. And if you want to get into your workshop, into your worksheet and walk through it, we're happy to hang on and kind of go through it one more time together. Reviewing, everyone brings a gift, right? To the world that we live in, everyone brings a gift. We all have one. You may not know it, but because you're on this call, I know you have a gift. You have a gift of compassion because you want to share food with other people. You want to teach people how to food. But there are lots of people in your neighborhood. They all have gifts. Think about those as assets that you can lean on. Relationships, strengthen community, build community. As much as it pains me to say, it's just life. It's the world that we live in, right? With COVID, right? This isn't going to be the last time craziness happens. It's just part of our world that we live in. We're going to see extreme weather events. We're going to just see them happen. But if we can strengthen our community, if we can build connections in your community before that event happens, you will be a stronger community. So building those relationships builds communities and strengthens the community that you live in. The other thing that we feel strongly about, because you've heard my tone or my words that says we'll support you in planning, marketing or helping you. We really do believe deeply that what we've seen is it works best when the Terry Rouses and Paul Soptics and all the other stewards that are on the call, you provide the leadership, right? That's when it works, right? It doesn't work when we start to fill that leadership role. We've seen time and time again, but that breaks down over time. So we do think it's really important for you to demonstrate that leadership and let us support you in it. But there can be many leaders. And the last thing from an asset versus deficit thinking, I would say, is people really do care. They really care about what you're doing. You may not hear it, but they really care about what you're doing. Oftentimes we hear how special you are, but sometimes you do have to ask and ask again and ask again. So talk to those business units, talk to your neighborhood, talk to the police, talk to your neighborhood, ask. And it is a great way. But when you ask, which hat are you going to have? A deficit hat? Like I need, or wow, you have a gift. Could we take advantage of that gift that you have? Right? Isn't that a very different tone, different mindset? That's our message for you here today, friends. Let me see if there's any other slides. We've got some workshops coming up. The Giving Grove has lots of orcharding workshops. Again, this will be in the PDF that's sent, so you don't need to write all this down. But we would love to spend some more time with you talking about pest management, this holistic spray. The time is near. Next month, it's time to get this holistic spray on your trees. Time to prune your trees. So we've got those workshops coming up. On the gardening side, we've got the same thing. Amanda or Anna, you want to say a minute on the upcoming workshops?
Yeah, I can go ahead and talk about it. We do have our planting plan sessions. We had our first one start today. So we do have a couple of virtual as well as in-person options. You can find that on the CPG workshop page. We are also definitely curious and want you guys to check out the MU Extension Produce Safety for Community Gardens. That is happening tomorrow. So if that's something you want to do, you do have to register. This is the link. Once again, we will send that out to you right after this workshop. And then Mitzvah Garden is going to be holding a hugelkultur workshop on the 13th. They do require RSVP, so just email Chuck. And on March 15th, we will be having our new CPG coordinator workshop. So that's going to be a new workshop this year. If you're interested in hanging out with us and just getting a refresher on that, everyone is welcome. And I think that's about it. So we'll be sending that out afterwards.
And for those less familiar with hugelkultur, can you say 2 cents more?
Yeah, I can jump in about that. So Chuck with the Mitzvah Garden, he's doing the hugelkultur method, which uses wood debris, leaves, other things that you've got going on in your garden to build up your raised bed rather than spending a lot of money on new soil, bringing new soil in. So it's going to be hands-on. He's inviting folks to come out to the garden and create these beds together. So should be a fun time.
Thank you, Anna. Resources, I told you you can borrow some tools. On an orcharding side, we actually have a couple of tool libraries that you should know about. By the way, oftentimes Paul has tools that if you contact him, by the way, that email was in there, he would let you support as well. But we have a KCK lending library. It's in one of those metal storage containers. So in it, we have everything you need to orchard. right? There's something of everything. There are pruners, there are saws, there are ladders, multiple ladders, there are sprayers. We have everything you need to orchard in that lending library. You can go 24/7, any day of the week, any time of the day. And all you need to do is contact us and we'll get you the combination. Because it's just a combination lock, you've got access to it, write it down. It has been broken into one time and nobody took a thing. They said, oh, it looks like a community asset for the orchard it was right beside. So, but otherwise, we've never lost anything. And we just ask that you write down your name and what you're taking and try to get it back promptly. At KCCG, we have the same. If you needed to borrow an orchard ladder, wheelbarrows for your community garden to move mulch around, just reach out to us. Do give us a little bit of a heads up, though. Let us know you're coming. And then we have another location in the historic Northeast if you're interested in materials in that part of the city. Anna?
Yep, so those are just a few more CPG resources too. Just if folks are, for the orchards, if you don't have a community garden side and you're interested in learning more, let us know. We're starting a peer support directory, trying to see how this works out, where we think you all are each other's best assets and resources. And so offering to share your expertise or things that you've learned with other garden coordinators. So yep, just some resources there.
Okay, very good. I'm gonna try to go back to this grid where I can see just about everyone, because I'm very curious. Some of you are on, can't see your face anymore. Here's what I'm curious. I am, so those of that I can see, so I can see a few of you. We're wondering whether or not you're getting, on the orchard side of our business, we have a monthly newsletter. Can I just see, you don't have to unmute necessarily, thumbs up, you're getting it, or thumbs down, you're not getting it. Can I see, are you getting our newsletter? Okay, I see, okay. All right, so we're trying to work on that. What we're finding is a lot of those are ending up in the spam mailbox. So we're trying to figure out, the best way to avoid junk mail. So a lot of times when you send a mass communication out to a lot of people, we'll see if we can't work with you, Reggie, to get that fixed. Let's see, I am also, we do this workshop, we're going to do it again on Thursday, but we do it every year, usually at least a couple of times a year, different times of the season. So I am curious for us to improve the process. I was an advocate of going slower and trying to figure out how to fill the form out as we go through the materials. But I finally, my team convinced me, it's like, Rob, that'll never work, right? So I just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Did anybody bring up their worksheet while I spoke? Did anybody do that? 1, 2. Okay, anybody else do that? We had 3 people, 4 people. Cool. All right, less good. That's 4 people did that. Thank you for that response. So maybe we can continue doing it that kind of way. Okay, and how many people printed their worksheet before the session started? Use that little thumbs up. A lot of you are using the thumbs up button. Give me a thumbs up if you printed your worksheet in advance. I'm trying to get a feel for how many people actually did that. Thumbs up if you printed it. Thumbs down if you did not print it. Okay, not very many people. I don't see anybody that printed it. Or Tiffany did. Okay, all right. Interesting. Very helpful for us to continue to do this better over time. All right. So we said this was going to be an hour and a half. We're right at about the hour and a half mark. I committed to you, however, that we will stay online and walk you through clicking the link if you were uncomfortable with that. But that is something you can do on your own. But it'll be much harder for us to support you in achieving your goal if you don't go back to the form and fill it out. So you can, we can kind of say goodbye for now. We'll see you next time, or stay on and we're going to walk you through clicking that link. Either way, but we'll, friends, gosh, every time I have to say this, thank you for doing what you do, right? Providing the leadership around a community garden, providing the leadership around orchards to strengthen your community. We are so grateful. I am so humbled by the amazing people we have participating in these programs. So for those of you signing off, you can sign off. Thanks for joining. Otherwise, stay on. And I'm just going to give a 5-second break here, and then we'll show you where that link is. Okay. All right, I have to move all these beautiful faces off to the right. And I'm gonna go here. All right, so friends, for those of you that remained on, how do you get to this darn link? So Melinda and Amanda sent an email out yesterday. It's in your inbox. And or if you didn't get an email because maybe you didn't register for the program, then you can chat. You can send a quick chat or just unmute and tell us who you are. And Amanda and Carter are ready to send you something if you don't have one.
Rob,
But what you need, yeah?
can I make a comment?
Yeah, please, Reggie.
You have given me in this engagement a real awareness of where to go and who to talk to inspire, to get the cooperation, the people involved, and the help that we need, just by the ideas that you shared. And I really appreciate it. And I'm getting ready to move out on it immediately as soon as we get this done.
Cool. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Very kind. Love hearing that feedback. Okay, so let's see. I think, Melinda, I need a little bit of your advice. I think you want me to click on this engagement plan, correct? Melinda?
Yeah, you might need to push control and then click.
Let me try it out here. Okay, no, work. Oh, well, I don't know. Can you guys see the worksheet?
You might have to go down to share your screen and change it to the screen that's up.
Okay. All right. Now you should be able to see it. All right, fantastic. All right, friends, I'm going to scroll down here. This top part is really easy. Just, fill this profile. And frankly, can I just suggest we do this later? We'll because I want to get you down to some of these ideas down here. The top part is just the site. So that's the address of the garden or the address of the orchard. Your team, let us know who's on your team. I know you get another email. Every year we send an email out saying, hey, could you remind us who your team is? But go ahead, and this is a little bit redundant, but go ahead and put your names in here. Who your primary people are, maybe secondary apprentices, people that are participating, and anybody else that you view as part of your team. This is more for your benefit than it is ours. It's being thoughtful about making sure you've got this down on paper. Number one here, as I scroll down, again, this you should, oh, by the way, I should pause and ask the question. Anybody having problem getting to their worksheet, go ahead and unmute and let us know, and we'll walk you through it again. Or we can resend the email. Okay, everybody's got it? Okay, good. All right, terrific. All right, once again, click on as many, because you could be a neighborhood orchard, but you're also a associated with a community garden. So you click on both of those, right? But if right across the street, there's a school and you view them as part of your your core group, then click on that as well. Or maybe you're part of, you're on the campus of a faith community, but you're in a neighborhood, and kind of think of both, faith. And so the third button down here, and neighborhood. Any combination, click as many as you want and add any more. Do let us know which programs you're participating in. And again, if you've got a garden, but not an orchard, and you've heard a lot today and want to, reach out to Melinda, or vice versa, right? You've got an orchard, but shoot, this community gardening thing sounds kind of keen. Reach out to either Anna or Amanda. And if you've got a neighborhood school that you really want to get engaged and you want programming to happen at that school, that actually is not Anna and Amanda. That's somebody else, but we can get you connected. We have a separate program that just focuses on that. So let us know that. All right, going down now, this starts to get harder. So, we asked you to kind of think through what's really important. Is it right down here? So I think of it this way. These things down here should actually help you prioritize. So look at which of these you clicked on that were high. Was it just providing the healthy food? Was that high? Or was it more about connecting people, building relationships? Which ones down here were high? And then try to force yourself to rank these. Again, it's your form, so you can do it any way you want. But you just click on that button and you literally type a 1 beside whichever one is you believe to be right now your highest priority. When I'm doing these kinds of things, I used to do these on tests back in college. I would do the one I was most certain about and least certain about. It's usually easiest for me to pick, yeah, this is probably the most important, and this is probably the least important. And then, it kind of helps you take out and find the middle place and rank those. So that might be a trick to identifying which one is most important to you. Is it about building your team out, bringing greater awareness, finding the best way to distribute the food, building connections, right? Those relationships, or try to find somebody to help fund what you've got going on. And it might sound funny, but obviously down here we have more options than up here. But I don't know if that's good or bad, but we've asked you to prioritize these things. Now, if you've been able to do that and you have a 1, again, it could be recruiting people, it could be a greater awareness, any one of those. That's what we want you to start to write a goal. Right down here. We actually want you to write a goal right here. We want you to come in here and type some words on that. And remember, I gave you some ideas, make them as simple, but action oriented. I can go do this. He said some things. that resonated with you. Maybe it was one of these harvest celebrations. We're going to create an event, darn it. And I am going to get, or I'm going to help Terry out. He already told me one of the things he wanted to do is bring greater awareness. And I forgot that I've got libraries in my neighborhood. I've got all kinds of faith communities. And I'm going to put a poster up that says, we're growing food for the community, right? And I'm going to post something in all these locations to bring greater awareness this year, right? It's wonderful if you can say a time period for which you want to accomplish that.
Rob, I want to chime in here. Terry also mentioned that sometimes people pick the fruit too early, and signs and ribbons are great. So if you're looking for best distribution of your harvest, you could have signs that say, pick from the trees with ribbons on them. And that might help people understand what a ripe fruit looks like.
Thanks, Melinda. That's a great idea. We have a number of orchards that are doing that. They'll just around the trunk, they tie a ribbon, or on a branch, they tie a ribbon as a signal. To the average passerby, they have no idea why that ribbon is on the tree. But to the neighborhood, that if they've been communicated to, maybe at a meeting, they know that that fruit is now ready to go.
We also have pre-printed signs on the type of fruit. So if like you have Enterprise apples, we have signs that say this fruit is ripe at this time, which could be helpful as well.
Yep, we have those kinds of resources. They show all the different varieties we grow, almost every one. What a specific variety of peach should look like when it's ready to pick. If you don't have that signage, you need to talk to Melinda, because we have thousands of them in a drawer, and we're ready to bring some to you or have you come grab them. Great thinking. So going back up again, do try to think through who you're supporting and the geography. We talked a little bit about that. Go ahead and add that information right now, and I'll just keep talking for just a little bit, unless there are any other ideas about how to describe who your orchard serve. It could be ages. It could be your faith community that you really are trying to support. But you should try to define the benefits of who will benefit and who you really want to support and serve. And then maybe geographically, if you can somehow describe it. I think it will be helpful in your outreach, in your planning, hopefully. So go ahead and type that in. All right, so I may be going too fast, but now you've talked about who's going to benefit. Maybe you've had a chance to kind of think through geography, and you've come up based on those priorities up here, that number one, based on whatever number one is up here, we'd encourage you to define a goal. What was your highest priority? We talked a little bit about that. And it could be super simple. I need to create greater awareness. I want to do it within this period of time in order to let more people know about the fact that there's free food. I don't know, make it your goal. Okay, now it's time to start inventorying. We're down here, right? And you got to start thinking thoughtfully about the individuals within your community that bring skills. Let your kind of open it up and think creatively. So I've offered up a few. I would, to my team or anybody on the call. I mentioned art. I mentioned music, social butterflies. What else from anybody on the call? Kind of just chime in here. What are other skills? Anna?
Hi there, calling me out, Rob.
I am. Yeah, I didn't warn you I was going to do that.
Other skills. So I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think of some folks that we've worked with. I went to a community garden meeting recently where they had a coordinator changeover. So the main coordinator couldn't run it anymore. So they were switching it and they couldn't find just one single person to take it over, which actually worked out in their benefit because they had 3 interested people that didn't want to do all of it. So they divvied up the responsibilities according to their skills, and it seems to be working out pretty well. So one person is just completely in charge of communication. So it's one of the younger people. She's got kids at home. She's working. She doesn't have time to actually be in the garden, but she's got time and the tech abilities to basically send emails out to the neighbors or send emails out when produce is ready. So that she just specifically does that. Another person has like 1 day a week where they come out. So I think that spreading the responsibilities is always really nice. Don't feel like it all has to be on you. And then, yeah, just really identify what those individual skills of each person is very helpful.
Teachers bring great skill, right? Amazing skill. They have a gift of communicating with young people. Cooks and chefs. Maybe someone in your neighborhood is a great chef. You want to engage them in preparing a meal. Maybe someone in your neighborhood has canned all their life, right? And you could have a canning demonstration, or they could bring canned product. How cool would that be? Maybe there's someone that's particularly good with flowers, right? We love insectary gardens in and around our gardens and our orchards. They bring beneficial insects in. They beautify the abandoned lot. Right? So they bring a skill, they bring a gift. Okay, I'm gonna move on. So those are your individuals to get your mind thinking. You can come back. All right, let's switch to associations. Go to that section. We offered up a couple, lots of different kinds. You know, we point out faith, we point out social, maybe it's, you know, oh, I don't know, you know, maybe it's cards, maybe people like to play cards together. Could be a cultural, a group that you want to connect with. Boy Scouts, 4-H, Girl Scouts. I think Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, I don't even like that term, just should be Scouts. They all bring skills, right? So think about what's in near your garden or orchard and try to inventory it. Now, this is where it can be kind of helpful, especially as we talk about businesses. Don't miss the businesses, right? There may be some businesses in your neighborhood that would love to support you, but they didn't even know that the orchard was for the whole neighborhood. Had they known that orchards for the neighborhood, maybe it's not money that they can bring, but maybe, you know, they would like their whole staff to volunteer in the orchard. Okay, so and finally, let's inventory the institution. So go down here, click on the left side. That should be, type in, you know, any kind of institution that's near you. We list a whole bunch of them there. You can put businesses above and associations are here, it doesn't matter. It's just about the inventory process itself. Remember, you know, think creatively, like that bus stop could be a really great asset. If you put a sign right there, bus stop, that could be a great way to get the word out.
I have 2 examples of actually that folks shared at last Engage Your Community workshops last year.
Awesome.
There was one group, it's actually the same group that I just mentioned. They, through the mapping tool, didn't realize that there was a large senior residential site about a block away from their garden, and that they saw that it was surrounded by a parking lot, not a lot of green space around the garden too. So that was something they were excited about, reaching out to get some seniors involved that had the capability of walking over and helping in the garden. And then actually at another, I believe it was a Giving Grove National associate shared that they had a Dollar General right down the street, and that they were excited to put a bunch of flyers out there because they know that a lot of neighbors will get some of their regular groceries from the Dollar General. And so putting some flyers there to be like, hey, there's free apples ready down the street, come get them on this day, or come get them. I just thought that was a really great creative idea also.
Yeah, that was, I remember, that was Aaron Higgins up in Omaha. Yeah, that was a brilliant idea, right? That, great ideas. Thanks for sharing those. Anybody else typing something in that we haven't talked about on either associations or institutions that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, it just occurred to me we have a playground a block from the orchard, so.
Perfect, right? Beautiful asset,
And there's a
amazing.
There's a little library thing box there, and that would be a good place to have a sign.
That would be great.
And Terry, I know there's a new coffee shop that just went in Rosedale right there too. I bet you could get some young families, put some flyers out
Yeah.
there. I live in
Yeah.
the Rosedale neighborhood too, so
Ah,
hi neighbor.
yeah, Hi, I've been there, but I don't drink coffee. I
Well,
was
so you don't
making,
like coffee, get an apple.
yeah, I was making a chocolate cake that had coffee in the recipe, so I went down there and bought some coffee. But yeah,
Okay, so next, Terry and Reggie, on these next two, just what do you think ought to be your next step? Try to think through that. The next thing that you want to do, that's what you want to type in this box. What is the next thing you're going to do? And try to make that actionable. Think that one through. Go ahead and fill that out. And then I also would encourage you to think through, we talked about how we can help. Hey, type something in there. You know, how can we help you? Let us know. And type that in there. Last thing I want to do is I have to show you this link. So again, Reggie and Terry, are you guys comfortable with the notion of a tab down here? If I click, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor right here on this, it's called a tab. And as soon as I hover over that, I actually left click on my mouse. Right? Now, Zoom, I always forget. Is it still showing my links? Carter, Melinda? Yes, okay, all right. So it actually worked. So these were the things that we offered up. This happens to be just a template that Melinda created for me with Kaufman Orchard, but hopefully it shows your name, the name of your orchard. So if you click on that, it's actually going to take you. I'm not going to do that because I'd have to stop sharing and then share again. But if I clicked on that, it'll actually show you a satellite image of your neighborhood in your area. You can zoom in and zoom out, kind of find the businesses. There's a printable map. There's this link to sign up to talk to us later on. And then there's this link to look at this toolkit. I'm also not going to click on that. But, you know, for all practical purposes, a lot of nice links here. Just a bunch of tools for you to, you know, help build out your engagement plan. So I hope you found this helpful. Terry, thanks for joining and sharing. Reggie, thanks for the feedback.
Yes, sir.
I'm very grateful.
So I have a question about the form.
Yeah.
I've got it 90% filled out, but can I exit it and come back into it?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, great question. I should have covered that.
Yeah, you don't need to save it. It just saves automatically.
Yeah, we do Google Docs at our house all the time. I just want to be sure I can. So I just go to that link and it'll bring it up.
Same link and you'll
Okay,
start
great.
back up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to finish mine later too, because I'm having trouble. I'm using my phone trying to
Yeah, yeah, that would be hard.
get it to enter.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Friends, thanks for what you do. We
Okay.
will catch you next time.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
I will be in touch with you very soon.
All right. Great. Bye for now.